Can Happen Friday. The art and cultural side of Southeast Asia. Hello and welcome back to DurianASEAN. You're with Gowri
and Grace.
And this is Anything Can Happen Friday. And today we have a very interesting topic to share with you guys. And before that, we are going to talk to Stephen, who is here to join us in the studio. And he's going to introduce himself and tell us where is he from and what does he do. So let's say good morning to him.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi, good morning.
So, hi Stephen. Thanks for joining us in the studio today.
Thanks for the invite.
So, you want to give us a little introduction to yourself and why are you here today? What are you here to talk about with us?
Alright, thank you very much for the invite. And the reason for me today is to actually, on the last 11 and 12 April, was actually we had conducted the first International Taekwondo Festival with our special guest, Grandmaster Cutler. He's a 9th Dan of Taekwondo from Northern Ireland, and this will be the first international event which is sanctioned by the Malaysian Major Events, the Ministry of Sports, Ministry of Education, and also fully supported by, we have quite a fair bit of local SMEs that actually came along and support our event.
Okay.
So being 2 days running this event, we had approximately 160 participants attended for this international seminar and course, and this would be the first time that we are hosting an international sanctioned event with a goal to come together as one. So the primary focus for this event is to allow all Taekwondo communities to actually be in an open platform where they can actually participate in seminars or training or a course, so, and to allow all of our Taekwondo community, just similar to the ASEAN community, to be all together, because we're all in the same family.
You had participants from KL alone, or was it all over Malaysia?
We had a special guest from Philippines as well, and we had also invited several international guests, but also due to visa problems. So there were some slight issues, but they have booked their flight and everything, but due to visa, so nothing much I can do. And however, they put their promise that they will support the next event that we have. So in fact, International Taekwondo Festival is an open platform where we hope all will be present in the heart of Malaysia to participate in international Taekwondo program. So the goal is to invite Grandmaster Cutler not only to conduct a seminar course, and we hope that we can also extend beyond than just a seminar and course in future. So to allow participants to grasp more knowledge on what Taekwondo is all about, learning from the pioneers and the Grandmasters.
So about the International Taekwondo Festival, is this the first time it's being held in Malaysia?
This is the first International Taekwondo Festival, and hence we got full support from the Ministry of Youth and Sport and also the Sports Commissioner plus Malaysia Major Events to conduct this auspicious event actually. And this year is also the 60th Taekwondo anniversary, which is our diamond anniversary, and on the 11th of April, so we had a celebration with 60 special guests invited for our dinner, and it was also the 4th anniversary of our club, which is the International Taekwondo Federation Dojang 7215 Club.
It's very interesting how you put the whole event as festival, International Taekwondo Festival. And Taekwondo is actually from Korea. And why do you choose this particular sport?
I started off Taekwondo from very young. So at a very young age of 6 years old, from my father with my eldest brother. So they started off first. Then after they are grading their exam, that's where my father said, you and your sister join in. So I had no choice but to join what my father encouraged me to join. So we all joined Taekwondo as part of a family event.
So it's a whole family activity.
Activity over on the Saturdays. So nothing being forced, but everyone enjoyed training, so that would be the main I decided to actually continue right up till today. And I feel the joy of training and teaching. So that has been my passion. So
will you train under the Korean instructor, or?
I have not trained it. In Malaysia, not many have actually trained under Koreans. For me, at a very young age, I'm only 33, so I had no opportunity to train with the Koreans. The Koreans came down maybe on the 60s, so to Malaysia, but they didn't spend much time here.
All right.
So I trained with a local instructor as well, late Master Chew, and then continued with Grandmaster Cutler after that.
Oh, I see.
So you have brought someone with you as well, with us to join us this morning. So maybe you want to give him a little introduction. I think you'll be the best person to introduce him.
So the gentleman next to me, he comes from very far, and in fact the journey took him approximately close to 2 days.
Oh yeah.
Close to 2 days from Belfast to Dublin down to Schiphol, Amsterdam down to Kuala Lumpur down to
PJ.
So
23 hours.
Yeah, so 23 hours in total. So that's it's a long journey down to Malaysia, and
for sure.
Yeah, so his name is Grandmaster Cutler. He's a 9-degree Taekwondo black belt, and he's the first Grandmaster that is promoted by our pioneer of Taekwondo, first Grandmaster Ricky Ha. Alright, so there's a lot of firsts actually. So learning from the true lineage of Taekwondo. So we are very fortunate that he's down here to actually expose and share what Taekwondo is all about. So like Miss Grace mentioned earlier, why I use the word festival.
Yeah.
So the true intention is to actually allow the open platform, so to allow everyone to come into learning and being educated what Taekwondo is all about. So many have some misrepresentation or a little bit of lack of knowledge. So we are here to share and try
to clarify
what Taekwondo is all about. So sometimes people think Taekwondo is very dangerous, it's very harmful, but it's not. So I started from very young until today. I continue and I teach Taekwondo as my full time.
Right.
So Grandmaster Cutler, not only he started Taekwondo from 1963. Sorry, 1973.
Okay.
So 1973, and 5 years after that, 1978, he's a first-time black belt. So until today, he's a Grandmaster. So getting all his ranks from the pioneer himself, from a white belt to the highest rank of Taekwondo, that sets him to a different level. So being able for our Malaysians and other participants to be able to train with him is an honor.
Let's just clarify, how many belts are there starting from white to reach the black belt, and how long does it take usually? Or perhaps the Grandmaster could explain to us.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes. My turn now, I suppose.
Yes, of course.
Okay. So there's 9 coloured rankings, and then there's 9 degrees of black belt.
9 degrees.
Yeah.
Wow.
So 9 is the highest. We could talk of the reasons why. 9 is a very powerful number.
Okay.
If you look in mathematics,
all right.
9, any of the primary numbers added together, added together result in a number 9. So then, if you take beyond that, if you go into the sphere of 360 degrees, 3 plus 6 plus 0 is 9, and any division of it becomes 9.
Right.
So, if you go to your 45 degrees and your 90 degrees and whatever, it comes back to 9. So 9 is a very, very interesting number. So 9 is our ultimate, if you like. So that's where we work in now. Okay? So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it did.
So it takes many years. To get to a ninth degree, you're looking at around 40 years of training.
Wow, that's really long time and commitment.
Following the procedure. So Stephen introduced me, and I'll add a little bit more into that. I mean, I started in 1973, and I've only ever had one instructor. My instructor is one of the pioneers of the ITF Taekwondo, which is First Grandmaster Ricky Ha. We call him First Grandmaster. That's the title he likes, because General Choi, who's the founder of Taekwondo, promoted him as the very first 9th degree promoted by General Choi. So he refers himself as the first Grandmaster. So I'm actually his first Grandmaster.
Oh, right.
So it's the thing like, so it's very, you have to understand a little about Taekwondo. So on Taekwondo, there's two tracks of Taekwondo, if you like.
All right.
The martial sport and the martial art. So martial sport is what most people know. The martial art itself is what I do. I'm Grassroots Taekwondo, basic, traditional. The organisation which I'm head of is A.C.E. Taekwondo, Authentic Centres for Excellence of Taekwondo. So we want to go back to grassroots. The organisation, Stephen has a branch of that which is called A.C.E. Taekwondo Malaysia. So we're trying to, he tries to follow the same procedure as myself with the authenticity. So we work to the grassroots that General Choi himself, the founder, developed, and we work to his rules. Now as a martial art, there are so many health benefits which are possibly in the sport as well, but because we take on the whole concept of the martial art, we look at posture, at breathing. People also look at diet factors and that within there. People say to me about my diet, I say, yes, I have a seafood diet.
I see food and I eat it.
Any food I see, I will eat. And that's it. So it's a seafood diet. So, yeah, but we're not health freaks, but because of what we do, our bodies are in reasonable condition. Stephen said I started in 1973. Well, I was 25 then, and I've been doing Taekwondo now 42 years. So a little quick calculation, I'm over 21. So yeah, but it keeps us fit and strong. The health benefits, because of the way we move and the muscles we use and how we exercise our muscles without going overboard. I don't mean you have to go to a gym 24 hours a day and do this sort of thing, but if you practice Taekwondo regularly and perform, the way you hold your posture is different because it holds your core muscles. For women, Taekwondo after childbirth is fantastic.
Oh, really?
Because it brings all the body back into place. Because we educate the lower abdomen a lot to keep it in shape. So a lot of our basic exercises they do in the postnatal classes, very similar.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of our exercises are aligned to yoga, as most exercise programs are, whatever they are, aligned to the yoga stuff. So Taekwondo's is the same. So for women, Taekwondo is very good. From a self-defense point of view.
I'm sorry, if we could just go back to the women part.
No problem.
Is that widely practiced in the Western countries, or is it in quite widely practiced in Asia as well?
For the women, there's a lot of women involved. Predominantly, martial art has a male following, and the ones you see are the late teens, early 20s, high energy people, the boys that want to show off a little bit, and martial art will allow them to do that. They can do their posing, shall we say, because that's what it allows them to do. There will be the women are in the minority side, but going back to what I was saying, the exercises we do are very good for them. From a self-defense point of view, Taekwondo is very good for the women. Because what we do does not allow on muscular strength like the power lifters and runners and so on, where they develop in certain groups of muscles to do specific jobs. Grassroots Taekwondo, basic Taekwondo, authentic Taekwondo, you're using technique. So it doesn't matter how big you are, how strong you are, if you do the technique correctly, it'll work. So, but if you do it wrong, it may not work. And it's just like, your car. If you forget to put petrol in, it'll let you down.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's it. So, but if you have your car serviced regularly and keep the petrol topped up, it won't let you down. So the regular practice of Taekwondo is keeping the engine running, the body running. And with that, you can use your body very effectively. I say we don't get involved in grappling. We try to keep our distance and fight. I say the word fight, we don't fight, right? No, but you protect yourself from distance. The leg is longer than the arm. So if you can use your legs, you can reach somebody with your foot as opposed to your hand. If you get grabbed, there's very quick ways to get out of being grabbed. But awareness, so your training makes you aware. And having that awareness, you steer away from trouble. So if you see trouble coming, if you turn a corner at night and turn into a dark road and something says to you, whoops, I don't like this,
right?
That's a good warning to be prepared. If you still have to go down that road, then you are very aware of what's going on. If you hear footsteps behind you, don't put your head down and hide. Look and see what it is. Keep the distance. Keep outside of anybody's range that can grab you. So just a little awareness thing that you get from training Taekwondo, just learning the length of your arm and the length of your leg and how to move, gives you that protection when you're moving. Of course, they'll do that in the sport as well to a certain extent, but they won't be focusing on the grounding that we use for the health benefits. You know, so this is it. Taekwondo itself has no boundaries. If you look at our badges, I don't have a badge on. Well, I do have a badge on. Here, there's no border. There's no border. So it's open to anybody and everybody. Male, female, adult, veterans, you know, senior citizens, children, whatever religion, whatever race. There's nothing that says you can't do Taekwondo.
So going back to the difference between Taekwondo as a sport and also in going back to the grassroots, like you were saying, is there a reason why doing it as a sport does not have as much benefits as going back to the grassroots and practicing the original way of doing Taekwondo?
Yes. The sport... Let me explain. Let me try and put it a different way. The grassroots martial art, we develop our body. So everything we do, every movement we perform, we use our muscle control to start and finish. A lot of people don't understand when they see us punching the air, nothing to hit, kicking the air. They go, oh, that's going to hurt this joint, that's going to that. Well, it doesn't, because you stop before the joints explode. You use your muscle to control. The sport predominantly uses something to hit. So they got bags to hit, they got, you know, the big hanging bags, heavy bags, they got kick shields, targets. Where when they spar in the fighting arena, the competition spar, they can hit each other lightly, but there's a stop. So so they don't actually develop full control. So when you're doing say a spinning kick, you've probably seen where they spin round 180 degrees and kick, they let it go flying past and put the foot on the floor. The traditional grassroots stop the kick where it's meant to finish. So if I was spinning to kick your head, for instance, my foot would stop where your head is. It wouldn't go past. Because I developed full control of my body. Now, having that control makes you a different person. It really gives you a confidence within yourself. So you should... White means innocence, black means no fear. No fear of darkness and things like this. I don't say don't be frightened. You know, you should always go by your feeling. Your feeling is a warning. It's something saying something's there, so you become aware. And using that is what you have to do. So when you do your kicks, whatever, the control allows you to do that. So you can choose whether you hit or whether you don't hit. The amount of force you use with the hit and so on is controlled there.
But is there a way to develop that same control in sports?
Well, they could if they wanted to. But it's time consuming. When I started, you didn't free spar, which is the tournament, until you were red belt.
Okay.
Sport, they spar 5 minutes after coming in the first class.
Okay. So there's no time to build.
So they don't develop. They don't develop the technique. So, like I said about being able to kick and stop, or punch and stop, or chop and stop, they can't do that because they don't have time to develop that. That takes a couple of years, if you like, of practice, of getting that ability. But it's that ability that is the difference. So a good martial artist can also be a good sportsman. I'm not saying a good sportsman can't be a good martial artist, but it's harder work that way round because they have to then, another Yoda saying, you have to unlearn what you've already learnt.
Right.
Okay? You'll sign up on the the wall. Do or do not. There is no try. It's one of my favourite sayings. So there, you have to unlearn what you've already learnt to start it. To become the martial artist.
Let me just give the comparison. Let's say Taekwondo is from Korea, but we also have a karate from Japan. So both are martial arts, but they're also considered as sports. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong. In Korean, all those all the primary schools, from the children are young, they're trained to learn Taekwondo. Even at one of the school curriculum, it's already there. So the beauty of Taekwondo is to train your mind as well as to learn about your self-control and also the defense system as well. But does it also the same mechanism apply to karate, or is it a different system?
I don't know about karate. I've only ever done Taekwondo. I've had friends that do it, and we've compared and so on. Taekwondo, the Grassroots, was developed in the military as an unarmed combat, as the fitness training program for the soldiers, and it was used in the war. It was used extensively in Vietnam. Right? There's a lot of what would you say, unclassified killings that were from not normal military use. That was there. In the schools, they teach the sport. Yes, it's very good. Nothing wrong with it, but they teach it as the sport, which is different. So the military based has the military discipline. It has the culture around the military, which is how we line up in the classes and so on. Now, the military in Japan used karate. It worked.
How is Taekwondo? I'm sorry. Continue.
So, Taekwondo's karate, kung fu.
Yeah.
If you look at the movements, there's only a certain number of ways you can bend your arm. Your elbow will only bend one way. If it bends the other way, you need to go and have a cast put on it.
For sure, yes.
And that's it. So, and your legs are the same. We're all more or less the same. You know, we're not identical. We move slightly different. Now, the difference between karate and taekwondo and other martial arts, if you look at it that way, is our theory of movement. How we move, how we get our power. Karate's is different. Their philosophy is different. Taekwondo's philosophy is roughly human rights.
Okay, human rights.
There's no religious links. There's nothing like that. The culture of Taekwondo, because of where it came from Korea before there was North and South.
Okay.
Before there was the Western influence, you had Confucianism, and then you had Neo-Confucianism. Well, the Confucianism belief, they brought the children up with a way of thinking, which our code of conduct, the 5 tenets: courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, and indomitable spirit. There are 5, is the code of conduct that we use, the 5 tenets. That was basically the same as they taught children in school from day one. So they came up with this belief. So that is the only belief that may be religious linked, if you like, through Confucianism in Taekwondo. The rest of it is based on equality and human rights.
Can
Everybody
you
has the right.
elaborate more on that?
The human rights. You as a woman have the same rights of me as a man. We have the equal. When we stand up, I'm 6'2" and you are about 5 foot.
5'4".
I'm going to say about 5'4". Which one of us is the correct one? Neither. We're both the same.
Yeah.
We both have the same body, different shape, different size, different bits maybe, but we are, human. And you have the same rights as me. Nothing different. Our bodies are different. My muscle structure is different. My strength is different. You have characteristics in your body, in your muscle structure, which are better than mine. I have some in mine which are better than yours. Men are known for their upper body strength. Naturally, the red fibre muscle in there is more than what the women's is. So we have a natural strength. Women generally are stronger in the stomach and thigh area because of the childbearing and so on. And they have an advantage here, so they can kick, or they should be able to kick better than men. If they can use it, if they develop their body correctly, they can. So that is what I mean on the equality, So equal rights, human rights, it's the same. And that is it in Taekwondo. So when you come in, there's nothing in the class, in the training hall, that differentiates men from women, from creed, from colour, whatever, religion. The only difference is we all wear a white suit that says Taekwondo on it. The only difference we have is the belt, the colour of the belt which distinguishes us. Now, when it comes to certain parts of what we have to do, then we have to take in consideration of height and build and age and so on, because the prime performance of the male will be between, say, 17 and maybe mid-30s. After that may start to decline. They can hold their strengths and fitness levels maybe for another 5 or 6 years, but it won't increase. If they let it drop off, they won't pick it back up. So the women actually develop a bit earlier. So they'd be maybe, say, 16 through to 25 is their peak performance stuff. I'm only guessing a bit.
Okay.
I don't know these figures complete, but I know the women perform better at a younger age than what men do. But your weight, my weight is 83 kilos. Your weight is probably about 53, 52.
45.
Oh, goodness me, I'm way out. Oh, naughty boy, I'm in trouble, right? Yeah. So, if I drop this pen, 45 kilos, or I drop this cup, this one's going to sound louder. If I drop it onto a piece of glass, just like this, the glass won't break, the glass will break. I have a natural advantage of my body mass with impact on something.
Right.
So if I block and I do a counter-attack punch, I can naturally develop a bit more power. So in Taekwondo, we have the training development, and we have patterns. Patterns are or tool is the word, but patterns, which are a series of offensive, defensive movements put in choreography. So the choreographed movements, which represent different positions people are coming in. So it's defense and attack against imaginary opponent. We also have power, breaking, the ability to break. So we test our power. People say, punching boards, you put a board up there, why bother? Well, okay. So if I want to practice, if my technique is efficient and I use one of my classmates and it works correctly, he won't ever come back. That's it. So if you look at black belt level, maybe you can develop 2-3 times your body weight on the end of your fist if you want to punch. So the human breastbone, for instance, the chest bone here, around by the sternum, I'll break at about 240 pound pressure. It'll spring a bit, but it'll break around there.
And
So if you can develop 3 times your body weight, that bone will shatter. Behind it, there are some vital organs that will suffer.
it's very scary stuff. So
Well, it is.
we are going to take a short break right now. So when we come back, we'll speak more to Mr. Paul
Yeah.
about Taekwondo.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything can happen Friday. The art and cultural side of Southeast Asia. Hello and welcome back to DurianASEAN. You're with Gowri.
And you're still with Grace.
And of course, this is your Anything Can Happen Friday, and we have 2 very special guests in the studio. We have Stephen, who is still here. Hello.
Yes, hi.
And also Mr. Paul Cutler, who is here with us. And going back to Taekwondo, I am curious to know why were you interested in Taekwondo in the first place? And of course, Grace kept mentioning that it's from Korea and all because she's actually Korean and she feels very patriotic about it.
I did learn Taekwondo for some time when I was younger. Yeah, and it's very interesting because I remember from my school days where my teachers used to guys get this position correct, and we have to hold certain position for some time to get the postures right. But after during those time, I feel like this is so boring. But after something, you get to hit the realization it is all about the self-control and then strengthen your mindset.
And how has that self-control maybe helped you later in life?
Because it was compulsory subject in school, so we couldn't miss it. But then after doing for a few years, it actually helps. It's really practical when it comes to you go out of work and you get to discipline even more. And then also, basically you respect people and you respect people in general.
Okay.
Yeah, so
it goes beyond just the strength and the power. It's also about discipline. It's about respect. It's a lot of different dimensions going on.
This is true. You asked me how I got interested.
Yes.
I was always interested in mystical things.
Okay.
Egypt, the pyramids.
Okay.
There was a lot of mystique around Siam. Well, it was called Siam's now Thailand, of course, the Siamese culture. Peru, in Machu Picchu, the plains of Nazca and things like this. Always fascinated me. What were they? And martial arts had a mystique around it. You heard about ninjas, and the history was they'd appear or they'd disappear out of a room that couldn't go out. The puff of smoke and they go.
Right.
But there was stuff that was around what you could do. The secret, I'll say, killing. So touch and somebody dies tomorrow, and things like this. There was always this in my mind, mystical things, and there was that around martial arts. I was in Oxford, is where I grew up, from a young child to early 20s, and with that, it's a university town. The university controlled everything. Inside the university was some martial arts, but to get in, you needed somebody in the university to get you in.
Right.
You couldn't just walk in off the street. So it was mainly, when Taekwondo came to the UK, I'll just skip that a second, it was because people came to Malaysia. And RAF Changi, military people. General Choi was the ambassador for Korea in Malaysia.
Okay.
And he introduced Taekwondo there. Riki Ha, my instructor, first Grandmaster Ri, was the first official Korean to leave Korea with Taekwondo on his passport to go to Malaysia to teach Taekwondo as a teaching post. So the RAF people picked this up. They went back to UK and there was nothing. So they were still doing their thing. There was 1 or 2 Koreans who were in the universities studying, doing a little bit of martial art things, whatever it might be, but they couldn't find Taekwondo that they wanted. So they invited who they knew from Changi to come over to the UK and start classes there, which in 1967 he did. He arrived in Britain and started teaching Taekwondo. So going back now to where it was, so there was Taekwondo in Oxford University. I didn't know, because we couldn't do. There was things going on. So I started working in for British Leyland, which was the car people, Rover cars, and on night work, I was outside having my break, and there was a guy doing a few moves.
Right.
I said, "Oh, you do karate?" He said, and he sort of, yeah. So I said, "I've really always been into it. I couldn't find it." He said, "Oh, I go into." It just come out of the university. A club had formed outside the university. You want to come along and see? So I said, "Yeah, I'm interested in that." So I went along, and I talked to the instructor, and he said all the right things that interested me.
Okay. He didn't kick you out, though.
No. So I asked him questions, and he gave me logical answers.
Okay.
There wasn't, well, it says in the book, or 2,000 years ago. So when you asked a question, it worked because of this, and that was it. And that's how Taekwondo was. It worked because it was designed to work. So, and the name of this martial art was Taekwondo. But he could have been doing karate.
Yeah.
And I went there, as long as he answered the right questions, my interest was there. But then Taekwondo gave me this challenge, that anything I wanted to do, I could work for. And it was a discipline. I don't say I needed a discipline. I was not ADHD, because it didn't exist in my days.
Oh, right.
But I was hyper. I was one of those kids. I didn't like... You could ask me to do anything, and I do. Absolutely anything you ask me to do. Tell me to do it, there'd be a bit of problem.
But you said you were attracted to the mythical part of Taekwondo at first, but what spurred you to go all the way?
Because once you got into it, it becomes like a drug. You get addicted to it. You've got your, what do they call them, extreme sports. They weren't around. Martial art was an extreme sport.
Right.
In them days, you know. Later on, the other stuff came out, the skateboards the kids do and all these sort of things. You know, or Game Boy. You know, but no, so performing it, I could achieve things with myself. The challenge was with me. It wasn't a challenge to see if I could beat somebody else. Could I reach this goal? So, changing the dates, in 1988, for instance, I got my 5th degree. And there's things I knew I could do. And I got invited, like to here, to have an interview. I got invited to a local newspaper to have an interview. And we were talking on things, and he said, about jumping. There was a picture of me jumping up doing this. And how high can I said, well, you know, got the ability to jump a car. And they said, show us.
Okay.
I never jumped a car. But in my head, I knew I could. Because I knew I had the height, I knew I had the distance. So then they put this lump of metal and glass in front of me, and I had to jump over it, which I did.
Okay.
So that was a challenge which was put onto me. Now, the challenge is there, you have to accept it and do it. And Taekwondo gives you that. You can always achieve something, no matter who you are, no matter what you are, you know.
And you were also telling me about working with kids, a class that you have later on where you're working with privileged kids.
I've been invited along to do a session with special needs children. These are predominantly deaf, I think.
Okay.
So we're working with deaf ones, so I don't have to speak Malaysian, which is good. But I've got to try and put over. I think I don't have a problem with it, because when you start Taekwondo, there's books, there's a 15-volume encyclopedia, there's videos, there's YouTube, there's everything. But when you get into it, you teach from feeling. So I feel how I move and do something, and I can demonstrate and explain that. And that makes me different to a lot of people. So I can put over, this is why we do it, this is how it works. I can demonstrate it, I can put them in a position for them to feel it. So I don't have to say the words. We can do it. As long as I'm allowed to touch them, I can position them and it'll work. So hopefully it should be interesting. Stephen already covers this class. It's one of his classes. But deaf ones are new to me, really.
Right.
So-
Have you worked with kids with special needs before, or?
Yes. I mean, in my class, I have autism.
Okay.
I actually had. I was in Australia for a few years. I had a student in a wheelchair come along, and I had a child come along who I don't know exactly what he had, but he walked with sticks.
Okay.
He had. He was dyspraxic, so he had dyspraxia. He was dyslexic. He couldn't walk without the sticks.
Oh no.
Okay.
Okay. His first grading, he trained for a few months. He put the sticks down and he could do Taekwondo
That's amazing. Yeah.
because of what I did with him. You know. So to me, what was wrong? His brain worked faster than his body. So he's telling to move his right foot and his left one that needs to move.
Okay.
The brain was ahead of him. So I slowed him down to talk what he was doing. So he stood there and said, this is what I'm going to do. Lift this hand up, do this, move this leg, do this. And he went round. It was amazing. But unfortunately he had to be taken out. His, not minders, the people that looked after him and worked with him, to me, weren't interested.
Okay.
They had something else they'd rather do. You know?
But they were seeing some positive improvements.
Unbelievable. You know, I have Down. They're not called Down syndrome anymore, are they? Down syndrome.
yeah,
but
they do.
Down's kids, I had them. Young men were there. Their grading was always slower, but they could grade because they need to think and move. I have autistic in my own class. I have autistic. I don't have a Downs, but they're slightly retarded, I think is the way to do it. They're 20, but they got a brain of about 11.
Okay.
You know, so like this. So they're in my class, no problem. They join in. They need special attention, but the autistic and so on. His problem is he has to be precise. So when you explain the movement, he has to talk the movement. Well, at some point, you have to do it.
Okay.
Rather than think about doing it. And, you know, do or do not. Don't try to do it.
Yeah.
Forget and analyse what you have to do and do it.
And in all your years of teaching, is there one particular experience that really stood out for you?
First of all, meeting my master, which is Grandmaster A.C.E. My club teacher was not. He was my instructor. Was Riki Har up in? He was in the Midlands then in England. He came down, and we were lined up on the hall, and you could feel his presence come in the room. That was a strange thing.
Okay.
Another time, the first time I met the founder, General Choi, was the same thing. I felt him before I saw him.
Okay.
So this is the mystical stuff which goes with the spiritual side, which we don't teach, but you get. There's things you get if you're heavily involved, you know, what you can do. So there's things you feel, you know, and I said about when you turn a corner and you feel there's something telling you that is not right. Or there's other sayings, is go with your gut feeling.
Yep.
That's your inner, your spirit, if you like, your spirit guide, or it is giving pull back to say, hang on, think about this. You know, these sort of feelings are great. Obviously, one of the greatest experiences was getting my black belt, becoming a black belt after 5 years of training. That was an experience on its own, and the different levels of coming up. You know.
Agrees. Anything else? Okay, so we're almost at the end of our session, and before we wrap things up, I just want to ask you and Stephen if you want to say something to all our listeners about the International Taekwondo Festival.
I think Stephen's probably a better one to explain about the festival because he organised it. But as he said, the whole thing was cross-platform. It was open to everybody. Taekwondo, like lots of things, is very fragmented. People, I don't know if they're jealous of each other, so they don't allow their students to interact with others. but this was open to let everybody come.
Okay.
Whoever, no background, whatever they are. So I'll put it to Stephen to finish off on the festival, to explain about the festival.
So on top of the additional Taekwondo program, we also encourage as not only involving government agencies but also all SMEs, which are, example, we would like to thank our sponsors like Aichon Coffee, and then we have USG International Sdn that sponsored the iron water, and then we have Nasi Lemak Antarabangsa at Kampung Baru, then we also had actually there's plenty. So we had around 15 companies that actually help us out. Gold Apple Kitchen, they sponsored buns. So FNN Nutrisoy. So in fact, the motive is to actually bring up all the SMEs to showcase. And aside business value, we also would like the schools that come in as participants to be co-partner of this event. So it gives them a privilege to also being not just we as the secretariat to organize it, but for them to being involved in being part of the program as well.
The class this afternoon for the special needs, they were quite behind the event. So I'm going along there for this special class because they supported us. So now I'm going there for a special one for them.
Okay. And is this happening again next year?
We would definitely love Jempol Cutler to come down. So and in fact my goal is to have International Taekwondo Festival will be an annual event. It'll be an annual event, and we hope to keep adding more programs for Taekwondo. Maybe at this section is the first priority was more onto education, so that's why I got the Ministry of Education involved as well. And all participants that attend this program will be given co-curriculum marks as well. So it's an add-on for them as well.
So thank you so much, Stephen and Mr. Paul Cutler, for joining us in our studio this morning. It was a great conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.